Hello everyone, how you doing? It's me, Mr. 4K Upscaler. Didn't mean to show you my booty. I'm sorry. Um, it's just I have to set up my camera this way. This is the only way I can do this. So first of all, happy Halloween. Hopefully everyone is having a great Halloween. And second of all, let's do this. Let's go through this very long video. What I'm gonna cover in this video is all the features that OPPO UDP 203 has. And when this video is finished, you will understand, you will learn why is it that OPPO 203 it is so highly regarded as the best 4K player on the market. And it is the best 4K player on the market. You will find that conclusion at the end of the video. Okay, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's do this. All right, let me grab my magic remote control right here and let's dive right into it. Okay, the first thing first, let's talk about the features that it has. All right, now the remote control. Let's start off with the remote control. I have to say that OPPO has designed one of the best, to me, in my opinion, one of the best remote controls ever. The reason being, it's because it's very simplistic. I like to use the word simplicity, simplistic, meaning that everything is on the touch of the button for you. Everything you want to do to control on this 4K player, it's all in here for you. And these buttons are big and they're lit up with a sensor, light sensor. They're lit up and they're big and they have all these big icons, so you know exactly where's the pause button, where's the options button, where's the HDR mode on and off, everything you want, A and B repeat. All of these icons are very vividly recognized here, and you will not have any hard time trying to find a button to turn the HDR off or turn the HDR on. Everything will be presented here perfectly for you. So this is one of the best remote controls that I have ever held in my hands. And big kudos to OPPO for doing this. And this is a very long and thick controller. That's what she said, by the way. I didn't say that. She said that. Mrs. OPPO said that. Okay? But forget that I even said that. It is a very robust, let's use another word instead of a sexual innuendo, okay? It's a very robust controller. And it really is, man. It's got everything you would need on it. It's a pretty hefty controller. You know, it's not a small controller. It's a pretty hefty controller, as a matter of fact. All right, now, enough of me talking about the remote control. Let's go dive into the display menu here. Hopefully you guys can see well. Let me just check my camera really quick. I want to make sure that you guys can see this properly, okay? Let me double check. All right, so that's better. I think you guys can see a little bit better now. So the first thing that happens on the home menu is the display. Now display, it's nothing fancy. It's pretty much your standard user menu display that you're gonna find out on a lot of the 4K players like this, something similar to this. But what's so unique about the OPPO user interface, it's done simplistically. Again, I wanna use the word simplistic. It's very simple. They made the icons very large and big so that there's no way for you to be stuck thinking, oh, where's the music? Where's the photos? Where's the movies? Everything is there for you. So you're not going to have a hard time trying to find out where anything is here. Everything is here presented for you. Even you guys can see it all the way. I have my camera 7 feet away. Far away, and even from there you guys can see exactly where your Blu-ray disc is, where your music is, where your photos are. Everything is there for you and you can see it, all your favorites. So everything is displayed for you nice and neat with large icons. These are very large icons, you can't miss them, okay? And that's the kudo to OPPO for making it simplistic and very easy to navigate. User-friendly, very easy to navigate. That's a big bonus, okay? Simplicity, I like simplicity. Call me an old timer, call me an old school, I don't care. I like simplicity, okay? Now, let's start off with the first one. Blu-ray disc, obviously click on it. The movie that you have inside will be reading it. Whatever it is that you put inside that disc tray. On your right, you have music. This is something that you will have to use your USB flash memory stick, or you will have to use your external hard drive, Seagate, or whatever it is that you have. Western Digital Seagate, it supports all of these external hard drives. They all have, this 4K player has two USB 3.0s in the back for you to plug it in. So technically you could have 10 terabytes of hard drives connected in the back of this OPPO. And there's another one right here. That's not 3.0, but it's up here, up in the front. You can also use as well. But I think this one is mainly for flash memory, for you to, USB stick flash memory, for you to just transfer the firmware update. But this one does have two USB 3.0s, blue 3.0 USB outputs, or USB outputs for your hard drive. I mean inputs that they're outputting the 3.0, okay? So you do have that option. So you can have, hell, if you have 20 terabytes Seagate and you put two of them, that's 40 terabytes if you want. So you can put your movies, your pictures, everything that you have, whatever crazy stuff you have on your hard drive, this thing will be reading it. And that's another cool thing I want to talk about. Not only can you connect your hard drives, and they're going to be reading at 3.0 really fast, so your hard drive will be read really, really fast. Not only can it do that, but at the same time, this OPPO 4K player will read any codec. MP4, MPEG, JPG, any codec you want from pictures and movies and videos, it will read it. Doesn't matter. MKV files, it will read it. I have tested it, I have tried it, and I apologize for not making a video on that. I will make a video on that, I swear to God. I might do that video before Xbox One X release to show you how it reads every single file. And I do mean this thing reads every single file, and I will have a video on that, I promise. I will make that video because I know you guys want proof and credibility, and you'll get that from me, trust me. So it does read every file. It's there. Doesn't matter. If it's a compressed, doesn't matter. It will read it. This thing will read anything. Trust me. Okay? Same thing with the photos. Doesn't matter what kind of photos. Is it transferred from Apple, from iTunes, and then compressed to MP4, MPEG, AVI, doesn't matter. This thing will read it. Will read it. Whatever it is, this thing will read it. Okay? So don't worry. Whatever photos you have, this thing will read it. You can show it off. Let's say today you went Halloween trick-or-treating, and then you want to show it off on the big screen TV to your family, or if you have some Christmas presents during the holidays, you can show it off to your family on the big screen. This thing will read it. Will read any file. Don't worry about it. Which file, even if it's a QuickTime file, we'll read it, okay? It was being compressed from QuickTime and then being compressed to MPEG, I'm sorry, or JPG, all right? This thing will read any codec, any file. I know this because I tested it, okay? And I'll do a separate video on that to show you. Same thing with the movies. Whatever file you have, whatever movie you whatever movie you have on your hard drive, doesn't matter what file it is, what codec it is, doesn't matter what codec it uses this for soundtrack, this thing will read any kind of codecs, both audio and video. That's OPPO. And this is why it is highly regarded. This is why it costs so much, because this thing supports everything and reads everything from a hard drive. Now network internet here, it's only here for one reason only, to download the firmware updates for your 4K player. Okay, they don't have the network here to stream, because OPPO, it's not focused on streaming. And quite honestly, I'm glad that they did focus themselves on streaming, because that would only slow down this 4K player. They're only focused on player, and that it can read everything and it can give the best possible picture quality. They only use this so you can download the file, firmware update from the OPPO Digital, and then install it right here. Okay? Now, setup. This is where the true magic of this 4K player comes in. It's the setup. This is it. This is the most important stuff. Okay? The setup here. Let's go through a setup. Now, you do have a playback setup. All right, if you choose to, you can choose the way you want your autoplay mode to be on. So that way, as soon as you pop the disc in, it's going to play automatically. You can choose that option to turn that off, but I don't know why would you do that. You also have the gapless playback, so that way, if you're playing certain files that they're a little bit damaged on your memory stick or your hard drive, don't worry about it. This thing will make sure that there is no any kind of gap in between or no skipping in between. It's just gonna put it together so that you're not gonna hear any skipping. Okay. You have that auto resume, closed caption, subtitle shift. Okay. So it has a variety of features just on the playback alone. Just look at the features you get just on the playback setup. This is a playback setup only. And look at the amount of features and variety of options you get just on the playback setup. Not that anybody really cares, but if they are giving you that option, they are giving you that ability if you want to choose to do so. Okay, so you're definitely getting your money's worth. You're getting variety of unlockable options here, which I'm going through. Now this is the creme de la creme right here. This is what it's all about. The video output setup, it is so rich with variety of different options. Variety of different options. And I'll have to speed up through these segments because I only have maybe about 20 minutes left on this video, so I gotta go speed this up. Let's go to the video output setup. Picture adjustment. What's so unique and great about picture adjustment is that you have the ability to calibrate your 4K movies or your 4K disc or your DVD disc or your Blu-ray disc, whatever it is that you're watching. It will let you do that. And it has 3 different presets. It has 3 different presets modes for you to calibrate every and each individual mode. So let's say on the preset 1, you want to calibrate Planet Earth 2, right? You want to have specific kind of calibration settings for Planet Earth 2. No problem. You can do that right here on the mode 1, on the preset 1. And you can adjust it only for, let's say, Planet Earth 2. So whenever you want to go back to watch Planet Earth 2, it's always going to be there. Okay? And that's what's so unique. Then you got the preset mode 2. Let's say there's a certain movie you like, and you calibrated that certain movie the way you like it, right? Let's say The Revenant, and you calibrate The Revenant for a certain preset. Well, guess what? You just go back to it. It's right here. Or you can have a preset 3 to be universal calibration for the rest of your content. So you have 3 different modes, 3 different presets where you can go ahead and adjust your calibration. Okay? So you do have that ability to do that. And no other player does these 3 different presets than OPPO. Okay? Now, if picture adjustment presets calibration wasn't enough for you, no worries. You do have high dynamic range settings that you can configure HDR settings any which way you want, okay? You can configure your HDR mode. How do you want your HDR mode? There's 3 different types of HDR modes you can do here. The one I recommend, it's automatic. Leave it on automatic. Let the static metadata between your 4K player and your TV, let the static metadata determine what your television can output in terms of peak brightness and in terms of wide color gamut. So let it do it automatically. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to mess around with it, they are giving you that option as well. You can use a forced HDR mode. And a lot of people have been asking about what does the forced mean? What forced HDR means is that the HDR is going to be outputted no matter what. The static metadata will be outputted no matter what. Whether you have HDR content or not, it will be outputting that static metadata. Okay? And it's always going to enable HDR to output if the content is HDR, regardless of whether the display device supports HDR. So even if you're watching a Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray movie it's not supported with HDR, this thing will force it to compress the HDR. Now, it's not going to be a true HDR, okay? All right? But it's still going to give you that compression. It's going to give you that feel of HDR, all right? But it's not going to be a true HDR. You can use that option if you want. I don't recommend that because if you leave it on, you could screw up your original HDR content. You can look kind of wishy-washy. So I wouldn't use this. Honestly, I would stay away from this. But you do have option to use it. You do have option to use it. And then you have the option to turn off HDR. If you don't want to have HDR, you can turn it off. Now there's another thing called the strip metadata. What this basically means, it means that you can go ahead and you can strip the peak brightness nits, luminous peak brightness nits of your high dynamic range. You can strip it off, take it away, take that out, and just leave the wide color gamut. So only the color gamut will be left on the TV, but you won't see any peak brightness. Now, I don't know why would you want to do that, maybe for demo purposes, but it does have that option. What I'm trying to say, OPPO still gives you that option. I don't know why would you want to do this, but you still have that option, okay? You still have that opportunity. And then here you've got the target luminous of peak brightness nits. Here's the thing. I wouldn't mess with this unless you know for a fact what your TV can output, what certain peak of brightness luminous nits can your TV output. If you don't know, I wouldn't mess with this because, you know, targeting a certain luminous light and trying to keep it at that constant luminous light peak of brightness could only screw up your picture quality because it's going to try to keep up with a certain limit, but it can't because the TV doesn't support that much of a fixed peak brightness. So it could only screw up your HDR. So I wouldn't mess with this. I would just leave it at the threshold right here, which is 50, 300 nits. Leave it at 300 nits. But again, we're going through features here. I'm trying to show you why OPPO 4K player it's regarded in such high regards, because it is giving you the options to customize and tweak your movies and your content and your programming any which way you want. It's giving you that. It's giving you that option. That's why it's regarded so highly, because it's giving you that option. No other 4K player on the planet that I know of, it's doing what OPPO is doing. Okay. And then of course you got your output resolution. What type of resolution would you like? Would you like automatic, custom, or source direct? Honestly, I wouldn't bother with these two because it's always better to use automatic. Let the television decide and the 4K player decide. Let them communicate between each other via HDMI high-speed cable to figure out what's the best resolution for that content. So always leave it automatic. But then again, OPPO, it's still giving you that option. All right, and that's what's so cool and unique about it. It's still giving you that option. Okay, between the custom and source direct, it's still giving you that option. And then do you want to have your own custom resolution, you can do that as well. Maybe you don't want the UHD 4K automatic. Maybe you want UHD 24 Hertz. Maybe you want 50 Hertz on your monitor. Maybe you want 60 Hertz. Maybe you want 1080p. Or maybe you want 1080p 24 Hertz. Or maybe you want 1080p 50, 60. Maybe you want 1080 interlace. You know, like your interlace HD DVDs. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want the interlace. So it's got every possible resolution you can think of. This is what's so great. It's future-proof. It's giving you everything you would need. You can hook this player to anything. Doesn't matter. You'll go to studio, you can hook this up. You go to a television studio somewhere out there, some news channel, you can hook this up. You go to a big projector, you can hook this up. It's giving you, go to a home theater and hook this up, no issues. Most likely you will find a home theater enthusiast with the OPPO. You're not going to find a home theater enthusiast without this OPPO, I guarantee you. Okay? And this is what makes it so great, the variety of features that it has. Okay? Now the color space, here's the deal. I don't have time right now to go through all of this because I don't have minutes and time to explain the difference between YCBCR 4.2 and 4.2.2 and 4.4.4. Okay, these chroma samplers they're varying, they're different, all right? And what they are basically, they're just codecs for different chroma upsampling, all right? But these chroma upsamplings will vary. They will vary depending on your HDMI, all right? And Vincent Teo has already explained this. It'll depend on your HDMI, what type of HDMI you're using. Now, if you got a longer HDMI, that's 12 feet, and it doesn't support like a very good bandwidth, then you might have some problem. It might switch to 4.2 or 4.2.2, who knows? Or you might flicker. You might have green screen, might flicker, because it's having a hard time, it's a bottleneck. It's having a hard time sending the bandwidth data to the television to process that. So what I'm trying to say here, leave it on automatic. Let the HDMI communicate with the television and the 4K player. Let the television and the 4K player decide what's the best output for that HDMI cable. Okay? So leave this on automatic. Okay? But again, the whole point here that I'm showing you this is to show you just the variety of different options that you have with OPPO 4K player. The endless possibilities. No other 4K player does this than OPPO. The only thing better than OPPO 203 is that high-end 205. But the 205, it's mainly for audiophiles, for home theater professional enthusiasts, people who are spending a lot of money on building these home theaters. That's for who that is. But in general, UDP OPPO 203 4K player, hands down, gives you endless customization possibilities. And then you got color of depth. Like, this is another something that I wouldn't mess with this unless you know exactly what your TV is. If you have a TV panel that's 12-bit, in the future, all the new 12-bit televisions with 8K, you'll be able to switch it to 12-bit. But this is something obviously you want to leave on automatic. Let the 4K player communicate with the TV and let the 4K player decide what's the best bit of color for your television panel. If your TV panel is 10-bit, which I assume it is, it's going to support the 10-bit automatically, okay? And then you got the aspect ratio. Look at the variety of different aspect ratio. I left it automatic because I like, again, my 4K player to choose what's the best possible ratio for the TV that I'm using. Now, if you have an ultra wide screen television or monitor, You can do that. You can have fixed 21.9. Okay, so you can plug this 4K player to like an ultra wide monitor and you can watch it. Or if you're using a projector, you can do the same thing. So you can crop it to 21:9 on your projector. If you have a high-end projector, you're gonna use these options. And this is the only 4K player. I know I'm repeating like a broken record, but I have to come across the point for you so you understand why this is so expensive. It's because of the options. No other 4K player out there on the market will give you these kind of options than what OPPO is doing. OPPO is the one that's doing this, all right? And then you have 3D settings. This thing reads 3D Blu-rays. Not only does it read them, but it gives you the option. How would you like your 3D output to be? Would you like to convert your 2D to 3D depth? And how much of depth would you like on your 2D DVDs to 3D, or your 2D Blu-rays to 3D? You can output them 2D to 3D. You have that up conversion possibility here as long as you have a 3D TV, okay? And you can choose what's the size of your 3D TV. So as you see right here, there are endless customization possibilities with OPPO 4K, all right? Now let's continue. Now you also have a DVD up conversion. So all your old DVDs, you can up convert them to 24 hertz frame. You can do that as well. On top of the fact that your DVDs will be also upscaled to 4K. Not only are they going to be up converted to 24 hertz, but they're also going to be upscaled to 4K, which is pretty cool. Now you also have a deinterlacing mode. This is really for files that are using interlace. They're not pixel by pixel, they're interlaced vertically. Most of the HD DVD movies have this option. So if you have something that's compressed from HD DVD into a file with interlace, 1080i interlace, this thing will use the deinterlacing mode, and those vertical lines will be smoothened out so it looks much better. And this option is only available on OPPO 4K player. And then here we go, audio output. Endless possibility on the audio output here. You can choose a secondary audio if you like. You can play something in the background. You have that option as well. You can choose what type of HDMI audio ARC return format would you like to choose between your receiver and your OPPO. So you can choose between LPCM, bitstream. I would just put it in automatic and let the player HDMI ARC communicate with your receiver and choose what's the best possible format of surround sound to use. Now this one, you can also choose on SPDIF output, you can choose the frequencies, like what is the highest frequency you want for your receiver. You can go between 48K LPCM, 96 LPCM, or 192 LPCM. This is something for your MP3s. So when you're listening to your MP3 files, they're going to be encoded to a higher frequency. So all of your MP3 files that you're listening from the hard drive or from the flash memory that you have, USB stick connected here, they're going to be encoded to a higher frequency if you choose to do so, if you choose to leave it at 192 LPCM, I'm sorry. But me personally, I'll leave it on the bitstream. I'll leave it on the bitstream because I mainly am using it for my receiver to listen to, you know, not here, but in my living room, okay? I use it to listen to, what you call it, my surround sound, all right? This room here that you're seeing, it's only for the tests. All my tests are being done here, okay? And then you got DVD audio mode. This is not a cool feature where you can choose to play your DVD audio high resolution music. I like this because I don't have it with me, but I used to have it. DVD audio formats are CDs that support, they're DVDs that support Dolby Digital and DTS surround sound mix, 5.1 surround sound mix. So when you're listening to your, for example, when you're listening to your favorite, soundtrack or something, that soundtrack is going to be encoded to 5.1. Or if you're listening to your favorite concert DVD audio, it's going to be encoded to 5.1 Dolby Digital or DTS. So your music will sound almost like you're in that concert, okay? You're going to hear every note, every instrument. You're going to hear everything the way it was meant to be heard. And only OPPO 2 or 3 4K player gives you the ability to read DVD audio. So if you go to eBay and you purchase DVD audio discs, which they are available out there, if you purchase them, then you're going to be able to listen to your DVD audio on the OPPO right here. And OPPO is the only 4K player that it's allowing you to do that. Okay? Not only does it read DVD audios, but it's also reading super audio CDs, okay, with the highest possible bit rate. So if you can find those on eBay as well, you can listen to them as well. What I'm trying to tell you is this 4K player is going to read pretty much everything you put on it. No matter what disc you put on there, it's going to read it. Whether it's the rewritable CD, rewritable DVD, whatever it is, this OPPO, it's going to read it no matter what. And that's why it's so unique. All right. Now this is the Super Audio CD Priority. Super Audio CD Priority, again, it's multi-channel. Here you can listen to multi-channel, which is the Dolby Digital and DTS. So if you have a Super Audio CD that's Dolby Digital or DTS, I don't know, you guys might be able to find them on eBay. Most likely eBay, you'll find them. People are selling them out, okay? If you listen to Metallica, that's on Dolby Digital DTS, or if you listen to Hans Zimmer soundtrack, that's Dolby Digital DTS, you're going to be able to hear that in such awesome clarity, okay? The way it was meant to be heard. You'll hear every instrument, everything. And you can choose between stereo, CD mode, or multi-channel. Obviously, you want to leave it on a multi-channel to get the Dolby Digital 5.1 or DTS, all right? So, you have all of these options. This is just audio. This is just audio output setup. We haven't even got to the audio processing. This is just audio output setup. So you see what I'm trying to show you here, guys? The endless possibilities of choices you have on this OPPO. Now let's go to the audio processing. Here, the output volume, I like to keep it to be variable. Some people keep it on fixed. I don't want to keep it on fixed because the mixer on some of the programs, on some of the movies, it varies, okay? Like on a certain scene, it's going to be quiet and then it goes higher bit rate, okay? And if you leave it on fixed, then it's always going to stay fixed at a certain bit rate. And then when the action scene happens, the sound's not going to be loud. So I keep this variable, keep it at the variable decibels bit rate, okay? That's what that is, the variable decibel bit rate. And you can choose the maximum volume, or you want to leave it at 50 or 70. This is for your TV. Again, these are endless possibilities of customizations that you can have on this 4K player. Just in terms of audio, I mean, look how many options you have. You also have the dynamic range control. I would keep it on automatic. A lot of people say, I like to leave it on. I say, don't leave it on, because if you leave it on, then you're going to lose that original mix that was already mixed in the studio on that action movie or whichever movie you're watching. Those special effects and sound effects are not going to sound the same if you have this on at all times. It's going to compress that original mixer, okay? So I want to leave it on automatic. Let the audio processing chip on this 4K player, let it decide what's the appropriate dynamic range, okay? And here's another cool feature, the speaker configuration. Remember, this is the unique caviar that you get, and this is why home theater enthusiasts, this is why this 4K player is really intended for the home theater enthusiasts. Not only do you have all these other abilities during the audio processing, but you also have the ability to every and each individual speaker that you have connected to your receiver, you have the ability to adjust the frequency, the down mix, the decibel levels. You have ability to choose how you want these speakers to sound. So you can make your speakers sound exactly the way they're going to be sounding on your receiver. So your receiver and your 4K player will be equal in terms of frequency, in terms of calibration of the sound. So when you're watching a movie, everything will look and sound equal. It's going to sound equal on all of your speakers. And you have that option here. You have that ability here to do that. You can choose how big of your speakers are. They're large. What's the distance? 12 feet, 10 feet. So this is a perfect companion for home theater enthusiasts. And you're going to have the best possible sound when you hook up this OPPO. No one's going to give you that better sound than the OPPO. With the OPPO, you're definitely going to be enjoying the best of the best, the way it was meant to be heard. And then you got the crossover frequencies. If the speaker configuration wasn't good enough, now you're getting the crossover frequency. You can choose between 40, 50, 60, 70 hertz to 80 hertz to even 100 hertz. Okay? To even 200 hertz. I mean, to 250 hertz. But I would personally leave it at the 80 hertz. 80 hertz, it's what THX certified is recommending. It's that low decibel level threshold of 80 hertz crossover, meaning that it's going to be very nice and perfect deep bass of crossover frequency. So you're going to hear the bullets, you're going to hear the airplane flying over, all of that stuff you're going to hear. Okay? Cars passing by, all of that. But hey, if you're not satisfied with the 80 hertz, they are giving you the option. Maybe you have bigger speakers. Maybe you got gigantic speakers in your room. So they're giving everybody an option. It's a future proof. They're giving you unlimited options to customize it the way you want it, regardless of what equipment you have. Okay? Now DTS Neo, I never use this because DTS Neo mode, it's really, it's not that recommended, honestly. It's a down mix and it's just going to screw up your, just stay away from DTS Neo. Trust me, don't use DTS Neo. But you have the option if you want to. You still have that option. I'm not recommending it, but you still have the option if you want to. And of course, device setup. This is where you find your firmware information. It's a 0922, the latest one. You can check your firmware upgrade. Would you like to do it via USB stick, or would you like to do it via rewritable disk? Because it does read rewritable discs and CDs. Or would you like to do it via network? I personally do it via network. It's much simpler, much easier through Wi-Fi. And then this is your firmware notification. You can use a remote control code. If you want to use a universal remote control, you can do that as well. The IR sensor, whether you want it to be up front, you want it to be in the back, you can choose where you want it to be. And of course, HDMI C control, they have that as well. Standby mode, auto power off and on, sleeper timer, power on input Blu-ray, HDMI in specs. You can choose to keep your HDMI in pass-through. So if you want to use Apple 4K TV, Roku 4K TV, Amazon 4K TV HDR, or PlayStation 4 Pro, or Xbox One X, you can connect it to HDMI in, HDR pass-through. Okay, it is a HDR pass-through, HDMI in, right here. And of course, you have your network set up. That's where you can check your connection information, your wireless. And another thing they have is the, let me show you. Right here, when you click on your firmware information, you can check and see what it consists of. Or you can also check and see what other third parties worked on the this specific firmware update. You can go open source credit, and here you can read about the license. You can learn about who worked on it, from where, what his name is. These are all third parties working on this beta, this firmware. So you can contact this person and ask him, hey, would you like adding on the next firmware update maybe some other features? So you can get to learn about all of these people that worked on the this firmware update. This is like the full credit list of all the people that worked on the firmware update. Okay, the entire staff that worked for the firmware update. That's of course authorized by OPPO Digital. So you have that as well. I mean, it's all there. And I'm running out of time, so this is just my 40 minutes trying to show you why OPPO 4K player, it is so highly regarded, and why it's the best 4K player on the planet. There's nothing better right now than OPPO 4K player, OPPO UDP 203. All right? So as you can see, now you know why it's regarded as one of the best 4K players. Why? Because it gives you future-proof, unlimited possibilities. And that's why you're paying that extra top dollar for cosmetics, the build, and unlimited features. So there you have it. Hopefully this video helped, and happy Halloween. Stay safe, happy Halloween, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Have a good one. Now I gotta turn this off, huh? Here we go.